Hi there, welcome to Yoga Physio Zone. I'm Sinead, and today's class is about Ujayyi breathing, which is a very relaxing form of breathing, and it's often called the ocean breath because it involves constricting the throat a little bit as you breathe in and out, and it gives the sound almost like the waves of the ocean. Very poetic. It's also known as the psychic breath. So you might think by that it means you'll get psychic abilities from doing this breath, but in fact, no. The reason it's called a psychic breath is that meditators often use this prior to meditation to settle their mind so that the thoughts aren't spinning around quite so much. So the psychic breath. And sometimes in my yoga classes, I call it the Darth Vader breath, because as we all know, if we watch Star Wars, that Darth Vader had a very kind of throaty aspect to how he was breathing. So the kind of like Luke, I am your father. I don't do that very well, but you get the idea. It's that exact same kind of throaty quality, and that's basically what Ujjayi breathing is. So if you have a stopwatch handy, I'm going to get you to just put me on pause for a minute and to take your respiratory rate and your pulse rate for a minute. So if you have a smartwatch, just get the pulse rate from your smartwatch, but otherwise take your pulse at your wrist for a full minute, and also just time yourself for a minute and just time how many breaths you're actually taking. Just try and do, not just breathe normally, not too big or small or whatever, just a normal breath for a minute, and then you can set me up again. Now the normal respiratory rate is considered to be around 12 breaths a minute. If you're stressed, there's a fair chance that you are taking more breaths per minute than you need to be. And by slowing that down, we can actually get your nervous system to just settle a bit. So that's the basis of Ujjayi breath. So once you're ready and you've taken your respiratory rate and your heart rate and just put that aside, let's just start with the technique. So the first thing to do is take a deep breath in, and then as you're breathing out, imagine you have a mirror in front of you and you're trying to actually fog up that mirror. So you're kind of going like that, and just do that a couple of times, breathing in and then like that. And notice as you're doing it, you're kind of constricting your throat to give this kind of a quality. So it's kind of like that. And with Ujjayi breath, that's what we're going to be doing, except we're going to be doing it for the inhale and the exhale. So now try it with your mouth closed. So you're going to breathe in and you're going to keep that constriction in your throat and go. Now I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you get the idea. So breathing in, and as you breathe out, kind of constrict your throat and go like that. And then we're going to add the inhalation to that. So we're going to be constricting our throat as we inhale and exhale. So it's going to be like now, if my mouth was open for this, it would be sounding like this. Like Darth Vader, okay? But we're doing it with the mouth closed, okay? Okay, so get your timer and let's start for 3 minutes. Here we go. In and out. So you just keep breathing in and out doing Ujjayi, and I'll do a little bit of explanation while you're doing that. So one of the reasons why Ujjayi might be a very settling breath is because by constricting your throat, you're actually stimulating your vagus nerve. Now, your vagus nerve is a very interesting nerve, and it's finally having its day in the scientific literature. But by stimulating your vagus nerve, you actually stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system. Now, this is the opposite to our fight or flight mode, where we get tense, our heart rate increases, our breath rate increases. And by stimulating our vagus nerve, which also is the nerve that works our vocal cords, by the way, by doing that, we get everything to do the opposite. We get our heart rate to drop, we get our respiratory rate to drop, our blood pressure to drop, and just a general relaxing of tension in our muscles and in our innards actually as well. So just keep going, breathing in and out. Now, if you can, what I would like you to do now is to make your exhalation a little bit longer. So you're going to lengthen your out breath, keeping with the Ujjayi. So the perfect breathing technique, the normal breathing technique I should say really, is that your inhalation is half as long as your exhalation. So for example, if you're breathing in to the count of 3, you breathe out to the count of 6. Now if that's not possible, just make it 4 or 5 or just even a little bit longer, and eventually you'll actually get used to having longer out breaths, and hopefully out breaths that are twice as long as your in breath. So physiologically, that's actually what we all should be doing anyway during normal breathing. And stressed people often tend to have a different pattern, where often their exhalation is actually quite short and sometimes the same length as the inhalation. So we don't want that, okay? So just keep doing your Ujjayi as I'm chatting. In, 2, 3, and then out for the count of 6. Or inhaling for 4, exhaling for 8. You get it, okay? So one of the other things that happens when we're constricting our throat is that we add a little resistance to our out breath as well as our in breath. But particularly with the out breath, when we add a constriction and a resistance to our out breath, it actually keeps our exhalation going for longer, so that less air is left in our lungs when we finish our exhalation. So that increases the amount of oxygenation. So all those good things, just by changing our breath, we're actually getting less air to remain in our lungs once we exhale, and that's actually a good thing, okay? That's actually good. So keep going. Ujjayi. And out like that. So you'll also notice as you're doing it more is that it has a very soothing and a calming effect. Now we use this quite a lot during yoga if we're doing a pose that makes our breath get quite short or labored. By doing Ujjayi breath, we can actually just get the whole thing to just settle down and you feel that you can control your breathing. But even without yoga, this is a really good technique to do. So I'm going to stop you round about now. We've about 3 minutes done, and you can just relax and breathe normally. And then once again, measure your respiratory rate for a minute and just check your smartwatch for your pulse rate and just notice what's happened. And most of the time, what we'll find is by doing Ujjayi breath for a period of time, like 3 minutes or 5 minutes, that we can actually get our sympathetic nervous system to just switch off, and our lovely parasympathetic, which is part of our nervous system that relaxes us and helps our body to heal, that we can actually stimulate that. So it's a really, really powerful relaxation tool. So there you go, my friends. Ujjayi breathing to be practiced anytime that you're feeling a little bit under pressure and you feel like you could do with just settling yourself a little bit. Ujjayi breathing is the way to go. So thank you very much for joining me, and we'll meet you again. Take care. Bye.